Okay, we are here for a brand deep dive with, I'm going to say my good friend, not my old friend, Jamie Levine.
Thank you, Lisa. I love talking with you.
I love the seals. I am so excited to see you helping this brand grow because there's just anything come to me with B2B, not too sexy, and obviously we're going to be all over it. So thank you. Take some extra time and filling us in on some of the details. I think for if you're watching this, this is not just the highlight reel. This is where we get a little bit deeper with the brand, help you understand more what's going on behind the scenes with this franchise. So it's a little bit longer than your normal, like 2-minute commercial. Tell us, what is the seals? Customer, what the brand is, give us a little bit of highlights there.
Yeah, Eversmith Brands is all B2B brands, the portfolio, and they purchased the seals in the first quarter of 25 because it was such a natural fit with one of their sister brands called Kitchen Guard.
Okay.
The seals is using the exact same clientele, customer base as Kitchen Guard. So that would be your restaurants, your bars, grocery stores, convenience stores, hospitals, school systems, hotels, assisted living facility, etc. So any place that has commercial kitchens or refrigeration units, essentially,
Okay.
right? And that includes hospitals. Doesn't necessarily have to be food, right? It could even be blood,
Sure.
which seems gross to say out loud. But
Right.
the seals, when you think of even in your own residential home, when you open up your refrigerator, there's a seal around the edge of that door. So a seal, or another term, gasket, is keeping the cold air in and the hot air out. But it's not just refrigeration units. That's going to be the bulk, but it's also heating elements like ovens and warming pots and stuff like that. They're keeping the warm in and the cold out. So with the seals, that's where we got the name, the seals, obviously, and that's about 80% of the business. But what happens is these restaurants, all these locations, they have health inspectors that are coming in anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year, maybe less, maybe more, and they're inspecting to make sure that whether it's the food or in a hospital blood or whatever is being protected, so that the cold air is staying in, hot air is staying out. Right? So they're inspecting these gaskets. If the gasket is torn or moldy, they get a ding in their health score, their health grade, A through, and then they're forced to replace it. So this gasket can be replaced 3 to 4 times a year, in some cases even more frequent. A average size restaurant probably has at least 10 of these gaskets, some of them 50 plus. So it's a reoccurring revenue stream, and it's something that has to be replaced frequently because it gets torn and moldy frequently.
I'm having to replace these all the time. If I don't, health inspector is going to ding me. So am I setting up, once I have that initial call with you guys, am I just setting it up to be recurring? Like, hey, I need you to come in and quarterly, do a sweep, get it all fixed, so it's one less thing I have to worry about? Or is it more of an emergent, I got a ding, come fix it?
Yeah, we want to set up the reoccurring check-ins. We have our account managers, or the franchisee will have their account managers go in on a quarterly basis and do an inspection of the kitchen. And so they just call over the manager on duty and say, hey, I'm Jamie, I'm with the seals. They'll know who that person is anyways after a couple of turnarounds there. I'm just here to do an inspection. So they'll go through and inspect the kitchen, and anytime they find an issue, they use their cell phone and with the technology to put in, this, and they have stickers that they will label the stick like C1, and it'll put in that into the estimate, and when they are done, they call the general manager over and they walk them through and show them all their findings. And the general manager either gives the thumbs up or thumbs down and says, yep. No, that one we'll wait on this one. Hey, you just did this one last month. Oh, okay. We must have ordered the wrong size. We'll replace that one for free because we give them a short-term warranty. And then they hit yes. And then we hit submit. Is that reoccurring? What we're trying to do is stay ahead of the health inspector instead of the health inspector showing up and causing a problem.
Got it. Perfect. So what does that look like, right? So I'm the franchise owner, and I'm assuming I'm full-time in this business, right? Not necessarily replacing gaskets, but I'm out shaking hands, getting to know the restaurant owners, the grocery store managers, the whole bit. But what does my labor model look like? What are those people doing you know what I mean, on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
this is an owner operator model to start. So it's typically you and one account manager.
Okay.
But you are doing the same thing as the account manager. You're going in prospecting and introducing yourself to these general managers or business owners and let them know what you do. And it's a really easy in because one of the things we have you do is health inspections are actually public knowledge. So you can download last week's health inspections and throw it into Chat GPT to find where there's been issues like seals, but we do more than just seals, so we'll have to come back to that. So we can put it in so that it'll populate any of the people that failed based on the services we provide. Then you can go walk yourself up to the door. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm with the seals. We do this, and they're like, "Oh, I just had a problem with my health inspection. We need you." Oh, great. You just walk right in.
Right.
But most of the restaurants and so forth, or these accounts are very welcoming if you don't come off as hoity-toity. You just wanted to really kind of relax and stuff like that. You let them know, hey, we service restaurants anywhere from Olive Garden to grocery stores like Whole Foods and stuff like that, and love the opportunity to just give you a free inspection, see if there's any problems. Not sure if your health inspector's on due any day now, right? Possibly. And most of the time they'll say yes and they'll let you go do it. Every once in a while they'll push back. They may say, well, we replace them ourselves. And that's kind of funny because it's very difficult. It's an easy process to pop in and pop out a seal, but there's like 1,000 different types of seals. And if you don't measure it properly, you can't return these in most cases. So when they say that, I say, oh, how many do you have in a closet somewhere that you order the wrong size, right? And it just becomes a pain. So if they push back, you say, no problem. And you give them a $100 gift card and you say, hey, when the time comes, if you get a torn gasket or mold or whatever, here's a $100 gift card. Think of me, and your first gasket or seal is almost on me, right? And that's their way to get back in. But then once they're in account, then it's that quarterly inspection, and they do the actual installs themselves. Again, most of the installs or pop out, pop in. That's the majority of it. It's super simple. Even I can do it, and I can barely use a drill. It's really easy. Now, there are some installs that are more complicated, and that's when you guys come together as a team and help each other out. But it is just so simple. But as they scale, they can continue to hire more account managers, or they can eventually get to a point where they hire a pure salesperson and a pure installer. And so there's more than one way to kind of do it. A account manager can handle about 150 accounts when they to the point where they can't take any more in. So if that helps to kind of start making the wheels turn.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not a huge labor model. It's something that you're going to start doing on your own, possibly grow a little, but you can scale pretty big because this isn't something that someone has to go out and do every single day in one area. They can pretty much get all.
And it's a great work-life balance because it doesn't have to have weekends or nights unless that account manager chooses to. So if they're like, they want to hit a certain goal, or they need to hit a certain goal and they haven't done it, but they have a kid's recital, they can go work on Saturday if they want to. But this is not a typical weekend or evening model kind of situation. What's also really amazing about this is that there's very minimal overhead. And I don't know if we want to jump into that part of the category.
Sure, yeah, whatever. This is a deep dive. I want people to start thinking like, okay, so definitely.
So we've already, accomplished by saying that it's not a required by law product, but it is required by health standards, right? So they're going to be checking for anything that can cause damage to spoil food or other things that need to be refrigerated or cooked properly. So the seals are our biggest thing. That's 80% of the business, but we also do cutting boards, hinges and door handles to walk-ins, diamond plating, the plastic strip stuff that hangs. There's a few different other things that we cover. They're not as frequent. They're bigger margins, so when we do get to replace the cutting boards, then there's more money there, margins, especially with the diamond plating and stuff like like that. So an example is an average hinge on a walk-in is going to cost the franchise owner probably about $5 to $7, but they're going to charge anywhere from $200 to $300 to install it. Huge markups on those things, but they're just not as frequent. They don't need a lot of employees to start. They'll start with themselves and one more, and then as they want to scale, they just keep adding account managers. This is truly really a sales thing, is what it boils down to, relationship. But what's really cool about this is that a franchise owner can start from their home. There's very little overhead. Now, we don't want them to stay in their home for very long, Lisa, because we all know Google hates home-based businesses. So they will need to get themselves a small office, but they don't carry inventory. All the parts that they need, the seals, the cutting boards, they order them on demand and it gets drop shipped to that small office. There's no fleet of vehicles. The account managers drive their own vehicles and they give them a stipend towards it. We do require the franchise owner to wrap one vehicle, but that doesn't constitute much of a fleet because it's one vehicle. And we don't care what the vehicle is as long as it's a newer model and in good condition. So it could be a Prius, it could be one of those hideous Teslas. Sorry, if anybody loves Teslas. It could be a pickup truck or a Mercedes. And then the equipment is so very minuscule. It's a drill, a measuring tape, pencil, box cutter, knee pads for when they're doing installation. It's just so low overhead and simple.
That's awesome. Who's doing this now? Who's the competition? Because I know you guys have, 14? I mean, this is a newer franchise. Eversmith just took it on, and we can talk about that. Those of you who are watching, let's talk about the power of an umbrella. I love umbrella brands. I know as I've grown in this industry, they were kind of few and far between, and now I'm finding I'm just personally leaning into them because I love the support. They make you feel more supported than the size of your franchise, right? So, but who's doing this now?
So there are some mom and pops that will do it. There's a couple of smaller brands that are doing it. They don't take on the conception that we have of just showing up and doing quarterly inspections, etc. They don't have the power of Eversmith brands because we're creating national accounts that they're not going to be able to tap into. They're not going to be able to compete against us because of the Kitchen Guard, that whole concept of, Kitchen Guard already has these clients. It's a warm introduction, right? They already trust Kitchen Guard, and if Kitchen Guard's vouching for this franchisee, that's their sister company. The bigger one is the refrigeration companies. So the refrigeration companies are the ones that are installing these walk-ins and all that. They're the ones that do it, but they don't want to because it's so minuscule.
High ticket.
Yes, they would prefer to focus on the high ticket stuff. So what's great there is that we just have our franchisees they will just outsource it. So just become a subcontract for a contractor for them.
Love it. This is a low cost investment to get into, which is also amazing. So this is sub 150 all in.
Oh yeah, it's so really, and I think honestly that 150 side is really exasperated high because they have some stuff in there about the leasehold improvements that are just unnecessary. But that's because we're going to project high then low. So that is when Eversmith Brands purchased the seals, I remember being at the IFA and found out that was happening, and I went to the CEO Ken and I said, please let me be on this brand, because I just love the concept of, like just you said, because it is so low investment, it's just so simple, it's going to appeal to a much bigger audience that really wants to get into business, but they may be afraid to do a huge investment. They want a better work lifestyle balance, but they still want scalability. This checks a lot of boxes. I think it's going to be a game changer in this space.
And let's talk a little bit about, I know that there's no item 19 yet. A lot of times when an umbrella brand will bring on a new brand, it'll take a while to get all the numbers cleaned up, right? That's generally, I'm assuming, what happened here is that there's enough open locations that Eversmith has to come in and say, okay guys, let's get a good chart of accounts. Let's kind of get a normalcy of where we're going to spend money on marketing, what we're going to pay for equipment, things like that. And so then the item 19 will follow. But how then are you getting around that for my candidates to say, hey, I'm interested in this business, but I have to have an understanding of generation of revenue? So what are we doing there?
When Eversmith Brands purchased this brand from Andy Dinkin, the founder, who's still on as the brand leader, he came up with this great concept of, he wanted something that gave him the great work-life balance, but could still actually make money with, right? And that's how he founded this. And then he started franchising, and then COVID hit, right? So he awarded 4 initial franchisees. The model was a little more, even more simplified and kind of maybe a little bit more loosey-goosey. And that's because, when a founder is investing with their own money, they can only do so much. And Andy is very passionate, and that's why he's still the brand leader. And he created such a great brand. But now with Eversmith Brands taking over with the pockets because of our private equity, we have the ability to implement lots of change and resources for lots of different things that Andy wasn't able to do. And yes, that means we have no item 19 yet, but we have a franchisee, Payden, who is doing very well. He's in his 3rd year, and he is doing group validation calls for us. And he is so transparent. It's amazing. He's so transparent of, what his numbers were for 24 versus what they're at today. He'll even share a copy of his P&L with the candidates, and he's honest about where the money is going, right? He's like, oh, I don't want IRS to know, Uncle Sam know exactly how much money I'm making. You know what I mean? Like, so he's really good about being able to speak to, well, this is what this says, but this is really what I'm doing, right? There's that aspect. So unfortunately, as of right now, that's what we have to lean into the most. So that means we're going to need an early adopter, obviously. This is a less risky emerging brand because it is so low investment, but it's still going to cause a little risk aversion for people who don't have the opportunity to talk to a ton of franchisees, etc. A couple of the franchisees were allowed to do it as part-time, and we don't allow that. So that's definitely something that doesn't work. We need a full-time effort. We need an owner-operator. Eversmith Brands believes in earning the right to be semi-absentee, and it's important when you talk to the franchisees, they'll all are going to say the same thing. All of them don't come from a sales background. They're all operational people. And Payden also ran a Sonic drive-through. That's how he found out about the seals. He was using the seals at the Sonic that he was managing. And when he found out it was franchising, he bought in. But again, no sales background. So that was the hardest thing for franchisees to really understand, how to hire a true salesperson and manage and pay them. There's a couple of franchisees that are really kind of doing this part-time, and they struggle with the salesperson because they're like, oh, I want to just pay commission only. It's not going to work. If you can't, anymore, right? No, if you can't offer, if there's no opportunity for a salesperson to make, in the 6 figures and beyond, commission only is not the right way to go. So that's where Eversmith Brands is coming into place and is creating sales training and all the other different resources to help the new people come on board understand, okay, this is exactly what it's going to take.
I like the opportunity in this space, right? It's a matter of, you're right. If they need to validate with 100 different people that this is a decent brand, this is not going to be the one for you. And chances are, by the time you can do that, it's going to be sold in your market. This is one of those you just have to understand. Eversmith came in and basically applied a whole bunch of rocket fuel to this brand, and now it's ready to launch. But if you're...
Yes, I love that analogy. I always say we bought a stock Jeep Wrangler and we're pimping it, but yours is better. Yeah, exactly. We're providing all this rocket fuel and all this extra stuff and now it's ready to launch. Yeah, that's exactly. And now we just need the people to put, the astronauts to put into this thing, to make it take off.
Talk to me about territory size, Jamie, because I'm sure, I would think that it has to be on the amount of businesses or something around that in that market that need this type of service. But How does it
Yeah,
work?
we're building the territories the same way we're building territories for Kitchen Guard. So
Okay.
it's built off what's called an RFSC count, which stands for Retail Facility Service Center. Fancy term for restaurants and bars. Again, I like to make sure people understand, like, so this is going to be between 1,200 to 2,000 RFSC count, which I've already had some candidates say, "Oh, I don't think that's enough." And I was like, "Well, keep in mind, that's not including hotels, hospitals, schools, assisted living facilities, grocery stores, convenience stores, that there's all these other options. This
Right.
is just the restaurants and bars because that's going to be the most repetitive, reoccurring business. So that's why we're
Right.
focusing on it. But even with just that number, 1,200 to 2,000 RFSC, the average territory across the country is about 1,700 RFSC count. I told you earlier, an account manager can handle about 150 accounts. So
Right.
divide 150 into 1,700, and what does that get you?
Right. 10% market share. Right.
Yeah, and so there's that, but that's the number of account managers you could have for
Okay.
just restaurants and bars. Never
Right.
mind. And then once you start figuring out how much an account manager, which unfortunately I can't to share that information, which would make my life easier, but I can't. But through Payden, they'll be able to understand how much each account manager should be able to make. So once you have that idea of, through the conversation with Payden, understand how much an account manager can do a year, and then how many account managers you can put into a territory. Boom, that's where the scalability just starts rising and rising.
Thank you so much. And I'm even thinking like stadiums and school cafeterias and like all those types of
All
places.
of them,
Have
everything that has
commercial.
refrigeration units is a potential customer.
Golf courses, catering, event centers, right? Like all the like, ding, 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 ding. And I
Yeah.
love B2B. I mean, think about this. The consumer model, for those of you that are watching, this is not an emergency. This is not, I'm going to get a call on Friday night at 3 o'clock that I've got to write. So this is build that relationship and build your business. And you're speaking with other manager level, HR, higher level executives that are owning these type of places. So it's a nice conversation to have. You're probably saving them a headache and time, and overall, like, you're keeping them in business, because health inspectors are very good at saying, well, I don't care, just fix it. You're out of
But
business.
not only that, too, we're helping them save money on their produce, on their food, right? Because if think about it, they may have a torn gasket or a moldy gasket, and the health inspector's not even due to be there for a couple months. What's happening to the food that's in there, right?
Right.
If we stay on top of this, not only are we helping them increase their health score and keep the health inspector happy, but we're saving them money on their food, because as soon as it starts losing that cooling ability or that heating ability, everything goes bad. And in the food industry, that is something that is really top of mind for these managers or restaurant owners and stuff like that. I love B2C. As you know, I've been doing this for almost 19 years. I've been on B2C, but the B2B concept is just a very different concept when it comes to the sales and marketing aspect. It's so different, especially the marketing. You're dealing with somebody's budget versus their disposable income, right? And that's a whole different ball game. If you can provide them a way for them to save money in their business, or to help their efficiencies, or whatever the case may be, then it's going to work.
And I'm sure I'm going to get questions on this, so I'm just going to get in front of it because this is a deep dive. So national accounts are what people always start to think about for B2B. My assumption is those will come with growth. We can't say, hey, we have a national accounts with Chick-fil-A without having the nation blanketed with franchisees. Right?
Yeah.
It's just tough.
So two things I'll say to that. One is Andy Dinkin, who founded the Seals, owns the entire state of North Carolina, and already works with Whole Foods, Olive Garden, Carrabba's, Chick-fil-A's, all these big brand names. And even though they're not considered national accounts yet, the franchisees have the ability to say, hey, do you know this franchisee over here, whatever? We work with our brand works with these brands. So they have the ability out the gate to say that. However,
That's awesome.
we have Eversmith Brands just recently hired an entire national sales account executive team. And so that's again another benefit of being a part of an umbrella group like Eversmith. And so what their goal is to create these strategic relationships, national accounts. So there's really kind of three components to this. One is preferred accounts, because in franchising, if it's franchise owned, it's very rare for a franchisor to force them to use a vendor, but they can say they're on our preferred vendor list, they've been vetted, and that says a lot. And most of the time, franchisees will take advantage of that. The second is mandated accounts, and this is our accounts team, national sales account team, is going to go after these big chains like Olive Garden that are not franchise owned and try to create an account with them so that that is guaranteed work for our franchisees unless they don't want to take it. And then the third component is that we want our franchisees to help us find these national accounts. So we have actually created a commission structure program that if a franchisee brings us a name and helps us get that account closed, they're going to get a commission check. So that's kind of cool and exciting. But yeah, so like you said, it will come with growth. Luckily, because Andy already has all these relationships with a lot of big chains, we can automatically start using those names in the talking process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a franchisee, we're tight. We talk to each other. We're like, okay, where am I going to get this? Okay, this just happened. How do I get this done? And by the time it goes up the corporate ladder, we've already answered that question 4 times, right? So, I mean, I think that the power in that network out of North Carolina is going to be a big deal. So that's awesome.
Power in franchising. I always say that, I get a lot of people ask, why should I do this versus why do I do a franchise versus I can do this on my own? Well, you're going to be on an island by yourself if you do that. I said, this is a sorority, a fraternity, like we're all there for each other. And that's exactly what happens, just as you describe it. Like everyone, they all know each other. And when you can find out the franchisee name of somebody in your somebody else is already serving, and you can say, hey, do you know Mr. Patel and and like in Birmingham, Alabama, or whatever the case may be, and they're like, oh yeah, of course they know who he is. Then it's just that name dropping thing, and then they can call and talk to Mr. Patel. Hey, are you happy with the service? Yes, I am. Boom. And so all ships rise. I think at the end of the day, if you are looking for a brand that allows you to scale, but not have to use your life savings to do so, and you get to be a part of a relationship building business, then you should consider the SEALs.
Thank you for watching. If you're ready to take the next step, Integrity Franchise Group is here to help. Click the link below or reach out to us today to schedule an appointment. Let's work together to solve that franchise puzzle and turn your business dreams into reality. We cannot wait to connect with you.